Hi guys, it's Ben Heath from Lead Guru, and in this video, I'm going to talk about whether or not you should use Facebook Lookalike Audience Expansion. When you're adding in lookalike audiences into your ad sets, you may see that there's a little checkbox option for lookalike audience expansion, which operates in a similar way to detailed targeting audience expansion, but there are differences, and I'm going to cover whether or not you should use it, in which scenarios you should use it, and all that sort of stuff in this video. So if you've been wondering about that, I think you're going to find this quite useful. Before we get into that, I want to very quickly ask you to smash that like button. Please click that thumbs up button, that helps me out. And of course, subscribe to my channel if you are new and haven't done so already. So I'm just going to quickly go through the process because I think it's, if you're not familiar with this feature, then this is going to be helpful. So I'm in an example ad account and I'm going to quickly create a lookalike audience. I'm going to do it based on all website visitors. So I'm just going to select all website visitors. As I said, this is an example ad account. So there's just a whole bunch of like dummy stuff created in here. Click these three and then go with create lookalike. Let's just pop it in the United Kingdom for now. And we'll go with a 1% lookalike, which is absolutely fine. So we go and create audience. And you can see that there we go. We've got our lookalike there. Get that out of the way. All website visitors, 1%. Fantastic. So let's go ahead and jump back over into the ad account. And we've already put an example campaign together. So it's new conversions campaign. There's like nothing in this thing, by the way. But if we jump to the ad set level, this is just for demonstration purposes. And then we click edit, we can scroll down to this section. So custom audiences, and we want to pop our lookalike audience in here. So there we go, lookalike audience, 1% all web services, the one that we just created in the audiences section. And you can see here we have lookalike expansion. And there's a little checkbox here and it says reach people beyond your lookalikes when it is likely to improve performance, which is interesting. And then this is the data that Facebook gives about it with a short snippet. I'm going to quickly read this because I think that's helpful. Expansion allows us to reach people outside your selected lookalike audiences, which is probably not very surprising. Expansion won't go beyond the age, gender, language, or location selections in your ad set and doesn't apply to audiences you are excluding. Expansion isn't available for some lookalike audiences. Okay, so that's very important. So what you're basically saying to Facebook is, like right now we have a 1% lookalike audience that we're targeting in the UK, 540,000 people are in this thing. If we tick this, you see that jumps up to 48 million, which is roughly the number of Facebook and Instagram users within the UK currently, which is recently increased, which is interesting. More of a reclassification on Facebook's side of things, I would say. So what you're saying to Facebook is, look, this is the audience I really want to target, but I'm actually happy for you to go beyond my lookalike and target anyone within these other parameters that you think is likely to do whatever it is that I want them to do. So if I've got a conversions campaign, I'm optimizing for purchases. If there's someone outside that 1% that you think is likely to purchase, please go ahead and advertise to them. So it sounds like a no-brainer that you would always want to turn this on, but that's not the case. This effectively turns your ad set into not full broad targeting, which is just like open, no targeting options, anything like that. It's not quite the same setup, but it's moving from where you are at the 1% lookalike audience along the spectrum towards that. So I think a lot of the principles apply. The types of businesses that want to use open targeting, or at least test it, are the ones that want to turn on lookalike expansion. I think that if you have a brand new ad account and you don't have much, or even if you don't have a huge amount of you don't have a lot of conversion data, you haven't generated say 500 or 1,000 purchases or leads or whatever it is that you're optimizing for in your ad account, I'd be very reluctant to turn this on. There is always a trade-off between open targeting options and specificity. Specificity is more valuable and better to go with when your ad account is newer, when you need to direct Facebook. You need to be like, Facebook, I know that your machine learning process does not know how to get me a conversion yet, but that's fine because I'm going to show you who I think is the best prospects. That's where specificity comes in. That's why it's really important at the beginning. And as Facebook learns, okay, people aged 42 to 46 love this thing. People who live in this town love this thing. People who are interested in this stuff love this. Whatever this advertiser is advertising, they love it. As that increases, Facebook has more and more data, and your best performance will come from more open, more broad targeting options usually. So you want to turn on lookalike expansion if you have a mature ad account. Okay, you want to turn on lookalike audience expansion if you've got a campaign that's performing well and you're looking to scale it and you want to be able to reach more people. You are more likely to see better results with lookalike expansion if your product or service has fairly broad appeal. Okay, there are certain products and services that loads of people might be interested in. You think of like cars, you think of like a mid-range SUV or a mid-range, family car. Okay. That has really broad appeal. Loads of people interested in that. If you are just selling, Brazilian jiu-jitsu gis, very niche. You're not going to do as well with lookalike expansion. So that's another scenario in which you want to use it. You want to be using lookalike expansion in a similar way to where you want to be using detailed targeting expansion when you are looking to expand within Facebook and Instagram itself. When you are thinking, we've shown this can work, we've got potential here, let's go ahead and open things up. I would also usually increase my percentage lookalike before I turned on lookalike expansion. So you can see we've created a 1%. I would usually have increased that to a 2%, then perhaps to a 3%, then to a 5% before I then went to turn on lookalike expansion. I think that, again, whether we do that or not is going to depend to some extent on in what situation the ad account is in. Mature ad account, we might just stick it straight away. If it's relatively new ad account, we're going to wait longer. These are important factors. Another thing I want to touch on within this lookalike expansion is some of the stuff that they said is that what you expand into is not going to break any of these other criteria that you set at the higher levels. So you're not going to go outside your locations. Don't worry about that. You're not going to go outside your age range. So if you wanted lookalike expansion on, but you really, really just want to be targeting 25 to 35-year-olds, that's absolutely fine. You can go ahead and do that. Don't feel like you can't. So it's something. So I probably made my thoughts on when I would use it fairly clear. With all these tools, monitor the performance closely and see if your campaigns perform better or not. Always be willing to turn something off. Don't just watch a video of mine or anyone else's and think, aha, I want to use that. I fit the criteria of where that's likely to work well. There's always nuances for every market, for every business. Turn it on. If you meet the criteria that I've talked about, definitely test it. But just be aware, you might need to turn it off because you might see better results that way. Always be flexible with that sort of stuff. That's something that's really important. I want to get across in a lot of my content. A lot of the questions that I receive on all platforms, the honest and best answer, it's not the answer people want, but the honest and best answer is often for me to say, why don't you test both? You could test both those two options that you've just said, should I use this or this? Test both, give it a week, you know which one's better, you can then run with that for the next 2 or 3 years. Maybe you want to retest, a year down the line or so, but that's fine, but just do it like that, okay? Okay, so hopefully that's been useful. Before you go, a few things I want to quickly mention. The first is a free webinar I've created called 3 Killer Facebook Ad Strategies to Double or More Your Revenue. And this webinar lays out strategy, sales funnels, the really, really important things you have to get right to succeed with Facebook ads before you do anything else. If you use the wrong sales funnel for your type of business, and yes, you need different sales funnels if you're selling a $30 product versus a $5,000 service, absolutely need different sales funnels. It's not going to work. You have to get that part right. So that's what this webinar is all about. Completely free. Link is in the video description below. Strongly recommend you check that out and go through that if you haven't already. I think it'd be well worth the hour 10 that it takes to go through that. Okay. If you found this video useful, please comment below. I get to as many comments as I can. I certainly see them all. Like this video, please give it that thumbs up. That really helps me out. It's much appreciated. And of course, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye for now.